Even though the 76ers have been underwhelming with and without Ben Simmons on the roster, I have the series going 7 games.
You're a donut! You're so stupid! You're so stupid! You're stupid! Dumb!
The Sixers just got swept by the Celtics. I was completely wrong and misjudged this entire series. Embiid was saying stuff like this.
I gotta do more. Whatever those stats are, I gotta do more. I gotta, I got one job to do. It's to carry us. I'm gonna need my teammates to help me. But I gotta do more.
But the Sixers still ended up losing and even getting blown out sometimes. The supporting cast struggled, and in Game 3, now one starter, including Embiid, shot over 35% from the field. The terrible playoff performance has caused Brett Brown to be fired, but is that enough? Last year, the team was built to perfection. They had JJ Redick, one of the best shooters of all time, Jimmy Butler, a star in the league and was the closer and the lockdown defender for this team, Tobias Harris, who's an above average 3-point shooter and a great third scoring option. That lineup was literally one shot away from going to the Eastern Conference Finals.
It's off to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger?
And who knows what could have happened against the Bucks. They could have been the champions instead of the Raptors. That starting lineup was full of stars. All they needed was to deepen their bench. Maybe add some 3-and-D players to the lineup and they would have been legit contenders this year. They could have been up there with the Celtics, the Bucks, and the Raptors, but instead, they find themselves packing their bags and leaving the NBA bubble as we speak. Yes, this could be because of injuries, especially to Ben Simmons, but that is not an excuse to get swept. In my opinion, the only reason this happened is because of poor decision making from management almost a year ago. They decided not to re-sign Redick or Jimmy Butler because they wanted to hand out a 4-year, $109 million contract to Al Horford, who's 34 years old now. I'll give the Sixers this. No one thought he would regress this much in less than a year, but he was not a good fit for this team anyways. Why would they sign a big man when they already have Embiid? Yes, he was known as the Embiid stopper, but that doesn't mean you hand him a $100 million contract that is almost immovable with his age and play at the moment. You'll have to give up future assets to get rid of the contract and maybe even a player like Matisse Thybulle. That was not their only terrible decision. They also gave Tobias Harris a 5-year, $180 million contract. Although he's an above average player in the league and maybe even a borderline all-star at times, he should not have been given a superstar contract. These contracts combined will deplete their cap space for years to come. Not to mention, both Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are no longer on their rookie contracts. This is a recipe for disaster. But with this being said, is the process over? Is it time to split up Simmons and Embiid? They both have their strengths and weaknesses. Joel Embiid is a great rim defender, great back to the basket player, and has decent shooting for his size. He is up there with Jokic as the best center in the league, but the problem with him is that he is never in shape. He constantly has a nagging injury, and at times he thinks he's the second coming of Stephen Curry. Ben Simmons, on the other hand, is one of the best passers in the league. He's a great transition player, and like Embiid, is a defensive player of the year candidate. Unfortunately, he has also had injury problems so far into his career and thinks the NBA is still in the 80s where players can be a difference maker without a willingness to shoot. Although both players have their strengths and weaknesses, I would give them at least one more year to prove themselves. This is because Ben Simmons got hurt during the NBA restart, and maybe with him, the Celtics series could have ended differently with him running the offense and his all defensive first team defense on Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum, or Jaylen Brown. They may have been able to win the series with him on the team. Also, the 76ers general manager Elton Brand seems to have no intention of trading the two-star players. With this being said, major changes must be made this offseason. It all starts with getting rid of Al Horford. Although he has been a great player in the league throughout his career, he's not a great fit with the team. Adding to this, it will be really hard to get rid of him due to his age and contract. One of the most realistic trades is swapping Al Horford and a first-round pick for Kevin Love. Both players' contracts would match, and Kevin Love's three-point shooting would help the Sixers get some much needed floor spacing. But honestly, this is not an ideal trade option for the Sixers. They would definitely improve, but Kevin Kevin Love's lack of ball handling could be costly to this young Sixers team. Also, with Kevin Love and Embiid, the Sixers would have to play at a much slower pace, which is not an ideal fit for Ben Simmons. If I am the Sixers, I would try to be dealing with the Kings. I would try to get one of Buddy Hield or Harrison Barnes. Realistically, it would have to be Harrison Barnes because Buddy Hield is still young. They would probably have to give up some future picks for this trade to work, but it'll be worth it if they want to compete. Although Barnes' contract is massive as well, it would give them some cap flexibility. If they complete this trade, their lineup will be Ben Simmons at point guard, Shake Milton at shooting guard, Harrison Barnes at small forward, Tobias Harris at power forward, and Joel Embiid at center. This would be a solid starting lineup that could even compete for a championship. But first, they would have to straighten out their bench and free agency. Yes, I know they don't have much money to work with, but they still need to straighten out their bench. 5 of their bench players are free agents this year. One person they must keep is Korkmaz. He has developed into a solid shooter and is a perfect fit for this team. I would also keep Kyle O'Quinn for his locker room presence and let the rest walk because they're gonna ask for too much money. In free agency, I would try to go for shooters. One name that comes to mind is Joe Harris, but he's likely to get overpaid by some other team and the Sixers cannot compete with their cap situation. This is why I would go for players such as Etuan Moore, Myers Leonard, DJ Augustine, and Langston Galloway. Maybe even Bertans and Austin Rivers, but that's less likely. If the Sixers can get a combination of any of these players during the offseason, they could be a deadly team going into next season. With this being said, thank you guys for watching the video and let me know what you think in the comments down below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.